Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thanks for tuning in again to another one here on the Coach's Desk. We appreciate you. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. So, in this one, it's going to be a clapback from Keith Wellington, one of the persons who Stephen Francis mentioned in the whole blast of the J3s. So he did an interview and he blasted the entire J3 on their incompetency and that they're a bunch of jokers and they need to stop bringing high school persons a part of the selection team. But something was revealed by Keith Wellington. Keith Wellington said, listen to me. Paul Francis, what's his name, Sprintec coach, Maurice Wilson, Glenn Mills, and these people are on the committee. So it begs to tell me, for me to start thinking and say, yo, what really are going? What really is happening? But people, I want you to listen to this audio. This audio is courtesy of Omega Radio on the program Sports Desk. And the interviewer was Orville Higgins. So I want to listen it. I want to give on a feedback what your thoughts are on this new development.
Alright, so we hear Stephen Francis coming out and basically knocking the people on the selection panel for the selection of that 4x4. You would have heard the interview, I assume.
Yes, but I'm not sure. Well, yes, I heard the interview.
All right. He made some, because I'm being made aware of some of the points that he had now. Among the things he's saying is that we should have run that race later when people are closer to peaking. And if we have to pay some countries to then compete against us, then so. What say you to it?
Well, first of all, let me just try and get some facts and some clarity to the situation. I'm not sure that he said that we should have run the race later. I think what he had suggested was that, or what he's suggesting or is saying is that most of our elite athletes would not be at peak form or anywhere close to preparedness to run at the World Relays or when the World Relays is set for. And what we know for a fact is that those relays were set for early May. The J3 has reached out to the track and field fraternity, meaning coaches, agents, athletes, to indicate whether or not they would make themselves available for the World Relays. Obviously, we could only select people who were available, who indicated that they were available, which is what we did. And I am a little bit confused as to what Steve is complaining about in terms of my influence and Riley's influence on this particular event. So maybe it is more than just this, because for this particular event, as I said, it was the athletes who made themselves available. We could only select from them. And if you bear in mind that the selection committee that he's complaining about our presence on, it also includes Paul Francis, it includes Maurice Wilson, it includes Glenn Mills, it includes Michael Frater. So if a little man like me can be in their presence and be influential in terms of track and field decision selection, then something is wrong. So I don't know if that is what he's complaining about, because I don't see where I would have undue influence on these persons. And I would suspect that these persons have some influence on the decisions that are made in the selection committees. And I would think a lot of influence. To even suspect that Glenn Mills, Michael Frater, Paul Francis, Maurice Wilson don't have influence to determine who is selected based on the criteria provided to all of us, and it's not a criteria that I would have had any influence over, then I think something is amiss. Also, from in terms of how we would have gone about this, I know for a fact that we would have had, I think if you recall what happened when the team was selected, a number of persons who had indicated their availability, they were selected, and then within 24 hours they indicated that they were no longer available. These included at least one of our elite athletes who had not yet opened the person had not yet opened their season up until that point, but we went ahead told by the person's coach, who happens to be one of our elite coaches, that the person was available. So I think that we're barking up the wrong tree. The truth is that the J3s can only select these persons who are available. There has been a lot of explanation as to why persons are not so interested in running the relays and why they would prefer the relays to be run at another time as opposed to when it is scheduled by World Athletics. But the truth is, as I said, the J3s don't have control over things like that.
Two things I want to say on this, Mr. Wellington. One, the fact that the World Relays has come at a bad time in the calendar wouldn't just affect Jamaica.
That's right.
Every other country would be peaking round about going in towards the Olympics. So I don't think Jamaica would suffer any greater disadvantage than anybody else. The timing of the World Relays. But I heard from at least one elite coach that they weren't made aware of the importance of the World Relays in terms of qualifying for Paris.
Yeah.
They knew that the World Relays was there, but they weren't aware that so much was at stake in terms of who qualifies for Paris, and based on the World Relays. And if they had known of the importance, because this is the first year when so many of the qualifiers for the 4x4 would come from the World Relays.
Yeah.
If they were aware, then maybe they would have put it in their itinerary.
In their program, in their training program.
Could that be something that the J3s take some flack for?
As a group, you always want to make sure that you do the right things all the time, and you even where you may not think it is necessary to communicate in an abundance of caution, you make sure that you share the information as often as possible. From my own experiences, both in my personal life, my life as a teacher and teacher, I know for a fact that when you communicate with people, many times they don't necessarily read in detail. And it's a known fact that Jamaicans generally don't read. So we know for a fact that information was out there from as early as last year. That is a given, right? Whether or not somebody took the time to read it, and I would assume that if I'm running a club and a program, I'm going to look at all the things that lie ahead of me, what is it that I need to do, and how I'm going to get these things done. So I wouldn't, if I'm a part of it, I wouldn't absolve myself of the responsibility of knowing what are the things that need to be done for the upcoming season and how I'm going to get it done. But I would not also say to the JAAA that you did more than enough. I think they did enough, but they could have done more in terms of maybe literally saying to each of these coaches that, listen, remember, so even if you assume that they already know, you can say to them, but remember, if we don't qualify here, so we're going to have a problem. So can you please, although you say you're not going to release X athlete or Y athlete, we're asking that you be reminded that we need to qualify in order for them to attend the games as a relay runner.
One last one quick one, because the fellas are tight. Could Franno's suggestion that we could invite some teams, even if you have to pay them, to come at our trials and put together a relay squad that we could still squeeze in at the 9th hour?
Yeah, man, it is something that was discussed long prior to Franno's statement, and part of the way forward in terms of the J3s after Bahamas was to look at opportunities that we could qualify a team. And so one of them was obviously to find a meet to send the athletes, which they did with Bahamas. Unfortunately, that did not work out. Subsequent, that was on Sunday. Subsequently to that, the J3s had a meeting last night with a number of our senior athletes and coaches. And what is now on the table is that there will be a relay run, a 4x4 race at the end of the trials come next week, Sunday. And the thing is that we're going to try and have two Jamaica teams participating, as well as we're inviting a couple national teams, which would include some of those foreign-based athletes who are now in Jamaica.
I'm not trying to take this out well. So we have 4 foreign-based athletes come from England. Is England that?
Sorry, yes, it's England or St. Vincent or Trinidad or Uganda or
some of them African thing there, some of the school. Yeah. So hold on, then